Okay, so I have fused my lining fabric with my interfacing. So I fused those together. Now I'm going to go ahead and use this piece as a pattern and go ahead and cut out my fashion fabric. So in this case I'm using a crepe back satin, and it's in a rose color, and then I'm also have an overlay of organza. So I'm going to lay my fashion fabric and then my overlay. And if you don't have an overlay, skip that part. And then of course what's going to go towards the skin, which will be the lining. So kind of like right sides together. Okay. Now these pieces, this pattern I picked out has a back and then a side back panel, a side front panel, and then also the actual front, which is cut on the fold. You can kind of see it's a pretty simple pattern. So what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and sew this kind of right sides together thing here on the armhole and the front neckline and the back neckline. So what happens when you do that is it allows you, let me show you when that's already done, it allows you to go ahead and get the really nice seam here that you would like to have so that it's finished around the arm and the neck. But yet we're going to come back and we're going to stitch these together so that when these are serged and you put it together, let me show you the front here. When you put them together like this, what's going to happen is you're going to get this serge part on the inside. These seams are already finished, and it's going to be really, really easy to come back and fix any of this seam in here, whether you need to take it in or let it out or anything in the bust, in the side, anything like that. And yet, when you look at the dress, it looks totally finished along the edge. So it's a great thing for the theater because it's ease, and yet it makes a really finished looking dress. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and on each piece that you have an armhole, you're going to just go ahead and take your 5/8 inch seam allowance and stitch that. Now let me give you a couple of hints. One, when you're pinning, put the fashion fabric on the bottom and leave your interfacing on the top. Can you see this? I hope you can see this. Okay, you're going to match it up. You're going to pin from underneath up through and across like that. Okay, of course you might want to match a little better. Now when you sew it on the machine, leave the pins out so you can take them out. When you sew it on the machine, make sure that your fashion fabric is on the bottom, because what's going to happen is you'll be able to work with the stiffness on the top, and your machine will automatically take in the ease off the bottom and not let that slide all over the place, especially if you're working with organza or satin or anything like that. It's going to want to slide everywhere, and then your pieces will not match up and they'll be off like this. And then you're going to have an off seam because it's going to crinkle. So always lay this stuff that's not interfaced on the bottom. Okay, and then you're going to go ahead and sew your 5/8 inch seam allowance. You're going to come back, you're going to trim it. I don't know that I have a piece that, oh yeah, here's one. You're going to come back and trim it. Let me show you this one. Yeah, I'm doing like 6 dresses, so I have lots of different colors. So you're going to come back, trim it, notch it, and then turn it right side out, and then make sure that you're pressing from the cotton side and not the satin side, and then go ahead and press it. That's another good reason to use cotton as your lining, because it can take the heat of the iron and you don't have to worry about totally scorching your satin fabric. Okay, so you do that. Then you're going to flip it out and you're going to iron that. We just talked about that. Now we're going to go back in and line up these sides. Okay, now you are going to sew these edges. I would sew them on the machine first. I do it because The serger, if it's just a little bit off when it's first grabbing your fabric, it's just going to make a mess and you're going to be off. So just use a 1/4 inch seam allowance and just run along here and tack those edges together. Okay? And then go back with your serger, and then you can just serge it off so that it's a nice finished edge to work with. Okay? And then you just put the whole bodice together. So I'll put a bodice together and then I'll show you what it looks like finished.